Today on Eventapalooza, our guest is Mallory Gott, and we're diving into her favorite event and what makes an event stand out and how you can apply these lessons to any event you're planning or producing. Welcome, Mallory. I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. Let's jump right in and find out what your favorite event is. So, what have you been up to?
Well, let's see. I am the co-owner and founder of a restaurant in Las Vegas. My husband and I opened a restaurant about 2.5 years ago after we won a big competition here for the build out. So we opened that restaurant in 2023, October of 2023. And so that, and then actually just literally today, I started as the executive director of the Nevada Psychology Association. So I just started that. Literally this morning was my first kickoff call with them. So yeah, I know. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Did you say executive director?
Mm-hmm.
That's killer.
Yeah. So it's just a state organization. It's not like it's, not the Linux Foundation by any means, but yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm. So this is my casual look because my husband and I just went and picked up a sofa. So I was like, I gotta be at least somewhat comfortable to try to move this. It's not super heavy, but moving a couch, I'm not in my finest wear.
Yes. You look fine.
Thank you. What have you been up to? What's going on with you? Obviously podcasting.
Yes, doing a podcast. About to head to Amsterdam for KubeCon.
Nice.
Yes. So right now, just pulling all those last minute details together.
Mm-hmm. As you always have to. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. It's always a last minute flurry of activities.
Exactly.
How big is that show now? That's got to be big now, no?
Yeah, like a 13,000 person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. That's great. That's a big show. Well, it'll be fun. Amsterdam in the spring. Why not?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear it. And how's everybody else on your team? What's going on? Or did you just decide to scale down to you and a couple of contractors? Although I can't imagine you'd be able to do that with those size of shows. So that's just super realistic.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized team. There's a few new faces on it this time. Yeah, let's see. Ethan, Steven, Brandon, Brent, Joe, Chris. There's
just a handful of people. Just a few.
Right.
That's great. Awesome. That's awesome. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you're here to hear you guys are doing well. And also, even though it's been 6 years now that you didn't die in the pandemic, because I'm sure everyone was like, we need everything now, right now, and we need it immediately. And it's like, oh, that's a lot, man, to turn that stuff on at that capacity for everybody you work with for all their shows for a year and a half. That's a lot. So
yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, I bet. I absolutely bet it was. Yeah. Do you want me to interview you today and be like, tell me about it? Tell me about it.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
We could probably ought to pass on that though. So just so I get your name pronunciation, it's Mallory Gott.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Excellent. And we could just jump right in and tell us what your favorite event is.
Yeah, my favorite. Now, just to clarify, favorite that I've produced or favorite that I've attended, because those are different.
Either one or both. We can talk both. Yeah.
Okay.
Either one.
All right. So I'll start with my favorite that I attended, just because it was such a cool. It was just such a cool event. I loved it. I loved everything about the experience. I went to an art fair called 154, and it's in North African, or I went when it was based in North Africa, in Marrakesh. Okay. And it is specifically about contemporary African art. And so I've been to art fairs before, but this one was, I would say, in my personal experience, this one was really kind of in its nascency. It was only in its third year when I got to go for the first time. And I actually went right before the pandemic. So it was it was literally, I flew home at the end of February and then 2 weeks later, everything closed.
Yeah.
And so what was so fascinating about it, it was based in Marrakesh. They had an amazing hotel, which was, that's just really nice anyway, but neither
Hmm.
here nor there as far as events go. There's lots of events that have amazing hotels. And they had the actual art fair adjacent to the hotel, and that was great. But what was amazing to me was that they really did a tremendous job of using so many different parts of the city, and the
Okay.
city's art history, and not just like ancient Moroccan architecture, but the fact that you had uh like Yves Saint Laurent, right? He had a huge
Hmm.
compound in Morocco, in Marrakesh. He did an amazing job with the architecture and the design and
Mm.
all of the gardens. And, and that was in like the 1970s, 80s when he did all that stuff.
Okay.
And so you got these very modern and contemporary spaces, and they use them so well to profile the idea of modern African art and what it means, and how it's goes so far beyond what people typically think about, and that there's this bustling, teeming, no surprise, like group of artists from all across
Hmm.
Africa who have a wide array of artistic styles and mediums, and just everything that you can think of. And it was such a cool way to use a city
Hmm.
in a citywide, ostensibly a citywide, but not at the scale of what you would typically think of as a citywide, where you have tens of thousands of people, right? Like the event, again, was in its third year, I think. So it probably, if it had a couple thousand, that would have been big.
Wow.
I would be
Uh-huh.
willing to bet it was probably like 1,500, maybe tops. Um, but they just did a phenomenal job with that. I just loved everything about it. Like, really, the city was the backdrop for profiling the contemporary art scene in Africa. And it was such a cool experience. Everything about it just really, really cool. I loved the whole experience. And the pandemic happened, so I didn't get to
Mm.
go back. And I would
I-
like to go again, but it hasn't been on my radar. So
Is it still
that one,
happening?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
And they actually expanded it, so they do one in North Africa, one in London, and one in New York. So at some point, not that I wouldn't go to New York or London, but I think it was also, for me at least, it was a really great eye-opening experience to go into onto the continent where
Hmm.
that art was being profiled, and not have it be like, oh, look, we're kind of looking at it in the West, in
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Europe. It was like, no, go to the place where some of the artists are from, and go really experience it. And it was a very, very cool experience. I enjoyed it tremendously, and it has stayed with me for ever and
Yeah.
ever and ever. So even though it's only been, 7 years, or 6 years, it's really stuck right here, stuck right with me. So
Yes.
yeah,
Makes me want to go. I mean, it
yeah,
sounds amazing.
it
And
was amazing. Yeah, it was an
you were there
amazing
as an
experience.
attendee?
I was, yeah, and I'm not I'm an art collector in the sense that I have art that I like, that I've
Uh-huh.
purchased, but I'm not a collector in the sense that I'm going somewhere with, $10,000, 20, $30,000. I'm like, I'm gonna go buy this, whatever, right? But and I think that's part of the other reason why it was such a cool event for me, because I just got to have access to these gallery owners who
Mm.
were there, and I got to ask them questions, and I was like, kind of a bumbling idiot. I was like, well, look, I'm not
That's
a collector, but I'm trying to start a collection. Like, how do you recommend
uh-huh.
going about this? What do you do? How do you, I don't have 50 grand to walk in and be like, I want this
Mm.
painting, right? And so it was also, I think, the access to what if I had gone in another market like London or New York, I don't think I would have been able to have that level of access. But
Oh,
because it
yeah.
was that part of the world, I got to talk to people, meet artists. Like, it was just, I was like, wow, this is amazing. If every event could be this uh, well designed and vibrant, and so connected to the people
Mhm.
that are otherwise hard to get in touch with and talk with. I mean, wow, what an experience. Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Your level of access sounds amazing. I mean, it makes me really want to go. Yeah.
It was great. I'm like, what other emerging events can I go to? Like, where can I get not just art, but what's South by Southwest 20
Mhm.
years before it's South by Southwest, right? Or I don't know if you're familiar with Freeze. Now Freeze is all over, but Freeze started in Miami. It's a very big art festival
Oh yeah.
fair. And really very cool. Now super expensive to participate in. Um, you're not getting access unless you're there because you're with somebody or you know somebody or you're going
Hmm.
there to buy very expensive art. The regular people, we're not getting access.
Mm.
So that was why I thought it was just like another opportunity where I was like, I can't believe where I am. This is just very interesting and unexpected to be able to talk with people who, you know, on another continent, I don't think I would have been able to rub elbows with, so to speak. So,
Yeah. Wow.
or rub shoulders.
How how many days was it?
So that was the other part that was cool. I mean, not surprising. Like every event or like many events, they had a couple of different tiers.
Hmm.
I had supported the organization as a it wasn't anything super crazy. Again, it's not as if I'm independently wealthy. But I had supported them just on a membership level as a, I think I
Hmm.
paid maybe $400 for an annual membership, which gave me some access to things throughout the year, like to
Mm.
learn about art and the artists and things like that, and some different, virtual programming. And then on site in Marrakesh, it also gave access to, I want to say, if my memory serves, it was 2 or 3 days of additional programming beyond just going to the art fair. And so
Oh.
a lot of the stuff that I got to do off site away from the hotel, that was all because I had registered and already was a supporter of the organization.
Hmm.
And then I got to partake. The art fair itself ran for, I want to say, 2.5 days all in,
Hmm.
for total hours, but I got to go to things pre and post. So I was there for almost a week. And I think 5 days out of the 7 I was there, I was doing something that was related to the event or, yeah, it was great. It was a great experience.
Wow, that's amazing. So,
Hmm.
from my perspective, I'm going to ask, how do you extend that beyond the event? And with art, I mean, instantly you think, well, you come home with a piece of art and you put it on your wall, but
Hmm.
your experience sounds so amazing. Um, yeah, were there any videos? I mean, that just sounds so crass to ask that, but
No, you know what? But I mean, I think so. I actually did come home with art. It was I went to, so there's a photographer who's based in Marrakesh and Paris. His
mhm,
photos are amazing. His name is Hasan Hizaj, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but his photography starts at uh, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like
mhm,
it's not inexpensive as it should be. But it's very, very cool. Um, so I went to he has or he did at the time, he had a kind of a studio tea house like bar
mm,
thing. It was very cool. And I went there and I got to view his art. I got to actually meet him. Like I said, I was like, I can't believe I get to meet. I mean, he's done his artwork with big celebrities, regular people, but like the guy's stuff is really cool. And so I got to meet him, and then I got to purchase some. Purchased prints. I couldn't purchase originals, but
hey,
that's okay. It is what it is. They're hanging in my entryway
yeah,
right now, and I love them very much. Um, they did My recollection of what they did was a lot of the, pre and post was kind of feature articles about different artists and about what was going on. Um, there were less videos at the time. I don't know if that was again because they were in a bit of a younger stage of the event. I think there was definitely opportunities for, or could be if they're not doing it now,
oops,
definitely opportunities for some of that behind the scenes kind of get up close and personal with the
mhm,
artists and learn about what they're doing and make that part of the extended 154 universe, if you will,
yeah,
throughout the year, or even, even kind of like I always think about, I think Architectural Digest does a really good job with this, where they do their home tours, and the home tours always correspond to whoever their cover story is for that particular issue. And I mean, it's a great way to just get people interested, but also
Hmm.
you get this little snippet of the home tour. You kind of get to see the person talk about the design and everything else. And then, they have the link to their article, or if you've read the article, you get the home tour as a kind of augmentation. So I think
Hmm.
that's definitely cool, and would have been a great opportunity. I would say, also just even doing things where you deep dive into the actual art itself and have people talking about what does this art mean? Why is this person producing this art this way?
Hmm.
If you're, again, this would be dependent on the demographics of their target audience, but if you are a certain type of collector, why does this
Hmm.
matter to you? If you've never collected, why would this be something you might want to look at, or how would you think about this in a collection?
Hmm.
Those are all, great ways to take things pre-buying and kind of prime a buyer. Post buying, if you wanted to even have something where you go into someone's home, if they're willing to open their doors and do like an architectural digest feature and talk about it and
Yeah.
have that experience of, okay, how did we put it in the house? What is it? What do you think about when you're looking at it? Right? Like, how do you get, and then even have somebody that did the art piece respond to that and kind of have that on that little evergreen content that comes out of the
Hmm.
prolonging the experience of buying, and having somebody do that, I think would be really cool. So those are some of the ways I would think about it for sure. Of course, you've got all the social things that you know about.
Hmm.
Go to the parties, go to the cocktail hours, all the
Right.
all the fun B-roll, all that kind of stuff, so you can show how exciting it is. Um,
Yes.
yeah, that would definitely fit in there too.
Wow. That is amazing. Really, really, really makes me want to go.
It's worth it. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Now I'm like, "Oh, when can
Yeah.
I
How
go
can we
again?
get
Like,
back?
when
Yeah.
can I go?" I'm like, I have to look and see, but based on the calendar, the Morocco one would have just happened last month. So I'm like, okay,
Okay.
I've got 11 months because I know London would be cool and New York would be cool, but honestly, Morocco I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to go back.
So hey, maybe shifting gears to the event that you produced that was your favorite.
Yeah. There, I will say I've gotten, as you know, I've gotten to do some really, really fun, very cool stuff. And I think one of the events I produced that I really loved was an event. It was based in Chicago. It was about 1,500 attendees. It was a single day. It combined education and a trade show and a
Mm.
gala. And it was more focused on regional association leaders in the Chicagoland area. So by the scale of where I've been able to do things, it was definitely not at the biggest end or oh, it's just
Hmm.
in this crazy city or whatever. Um, but what was amazing about designing that, I got to do it 3 years, 3 years in the role that I was in at that
Oh
organization,
wow.
right? Yeah. And one of the years, the board at the organization I was at, they just really wanted to change things up, and they were open to some very, at the time, this was about 15 years ago now, but some very kind of avant-garde ideas about how to use space as a way to design more engaging learning, and how to use kind of physical demarcation of space, even though it was a completely wide open learning area. So multiple session spaces
Hmm.
in one big convention hall. So it was like
Oh
six
wow.
spaces in one hall, right? Yeah. But we did some really, at the time, more avant-garde and very cool um, work with using things that would guide people to either participate fully and be really dialed in, even though there were multiple things going on, or to say, hey, I'm not sure if this is a session I want to stay in, but we're not going to make it awkward if I get up and leave because
Mm.
I'm going to have some physical space, in this open, semi open area
Hmm.
where I can check it out and then leave. And we gave people a lot of opportunities as well. And like at the time, I just remember being like, we're really on the cutting edge because we were using QR codes to get people to participate in
Mm.
things, and you know even going so far as to like invite them at different points to scan QR codes to kind of get augmented experiences, and augment,
Mm.
and I don't mean like AR augmented. I mean like, here's these resources that you can read and look
Uh-huh.
at, or here's this kind of polling. And again, now that's definitely much more mainstream, but at the time it was really, really avant-garde. Um, and we were a small regional, technically a national association, but for all intents and purposes, a regional. And so to be able to do that and use physical space, lighting, technology, and well-designed learning together to deliver that event, I just remember leaving and being like, that was real. I was really proud of that, and that
Mhm.
looked like what you would expect from a very large national or international organization, just on a much smaller scale. And it was so much more, I felt so much more enthusiastic about it than when you just see a bunch of session rooms with people talking at the
Yeah.
front and, okay, we put the furniture in a cool pattern. It's like,
Yes.
I get it. There are real constraints, like there's real budgets, there are real, things that have to happen. But I remember walking out of that experience being like, that wasn't just designed for cool design, and it wasn't just function for function. It was really a beautiful
Yeah,
integration of both.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep. It was I probably one of the best holistic experiences I've gotten to design in my career, I would say. And like I said, I wasn't the biggest budget I've worked with, wasn't the most global
Mhm.
organization I've had the chance to work with, but definitely a very, really cool creative exercise to go through that, walk the talk. I mean, people walked away from it and were like, this was great.
Yeah.
This is not what I was expecting. It was awesome.
I think that's part of the cool thing about, what triggers that favorite event feeling is it's not necessarily the biggest or the brightest.
Mhm.
Um, it's those unique situations where things were, um, designed just so thoughtfully,
Mhm.
and, um, you just come away from it with that special feeling like
Yep.
something really neat happened here, and I was a part of it, and we were a part of it as a group, and
Yeah. Yeah. Even recognizing that wow moment when you walk in a space and it's very
Mhm.
pretty, but then going the step further for folks and recognizing that it wasn't just the pretty ballroom for the social hour, it was a full-blown, like, no, you're gonna spend your whole day in here. This is designed to be, all-encompassing space, and, you know, it's set up for you to be able to enjoy and learn. And have aesthetically pleasing surroundings throughout the course of the entire day. I think that was, as I said, it was something I felt very proud of at the time, and even thinking back to it now, I feel very proud of it. And you don't always get those opportunities, and in event planning, it can be important to check the boxes and make sure that,
Yeah.
but it is fun when you have the opportunity to do those more creative exercises for sure.
Mhm. And when that spark that happens when you actually facilitate learning is really amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
it gets everybody going. Everyone's synapses firing, and um
Yeah. And I think, one of the other things that was fun to watch was because of the way that the physical space was laid out, you would have, we even did the sound design where the sound, because of course you can have sound pollution
mm,
across different spaces that can be really challenging. And so we really did our best to make sure that we, push sound into places where it was supposed to be, and didn't have bleed where it wasn't supposed to be. And with all that said, you still have people getting, laughing at things and like
mhm,
clapping at things. And so from a from an audience curiosity standpoint, it would invite people in because they were in the same physical space, even if they were kind of milling about, or maybe that wasn't a session I thought I was going to really participate in. But if you hear 30, 40, 60 people laughing or clapping, or,
mhm.
kind of you hear this hum over here of it, like, yeah, if I'm not doing anything, I'm at least going to pop my head over to check it out and see what's going on. Um, and I think that was also it was a different way to get people involved without trying to force the interaction, because the space
Mhm.
just naturally invited the interaction, and not in every case, but in case there were a handful I remember watching where I was like, oh yeah, if this was in a session room, these people would never have stopped over here because
Yeah.
they wouldn't have seen it, they wouldn't have heard it, but they're right here, they're like answering email or whatever, and they hear a laugh or they hear people start to
Hmm.
clap, or and then they're like, oh, let me go walk over and check this out. And and that feeling was great. It was learning designed in a way that got people's attention without having to, gosh, try to use a bunch of gimmicks,
Yeah.
or, like really have to try to rope people in with heavy CE, and
Yes.
it was very cool. It was definitely a cool experience.
Were you able to extend it beyond the event with videos or anything like that?
Oh
Or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we had a recording, audio and video recording partners that worked with us on that. And at the time we used it to create. So one of the things that I would do differently now, right? Like with so much more experience in technology, would be not just to create here are the recordings, but one of the
Mhm.
things I've thought a lot about recently is, okay, yes, you have the recordings, but like, how do you extrapolate those into little shorts that you can give
Mhm.
people, whether it's members or just registrants for non-member based events, shorts, or like quick clips that you can use, or even starting to use AI to synthesize things and
Yeah.
sort through stuff for you, slice and dice it with the help of people like you who can slice and dice it better than AI. AI
Mm.
is great, but like some point you need humans to look at it and say,
Right.
this is real, this is not real, doesn't make sense. And kind of come up with these things that I think people have become much more accustomed to now, which is the 30-second clip, the 60
Mhm.
second clip, the 5 minute, like I'm on the bus, I'm on the subway, I'm at the stoplight basically. Um, but still getting them to kind of see that stuff and using it, whether it's in your own social or your
Mhm.
newsletters or your marketing, or even just doing it as instead of saying like, oh, we've got to get 75 sessions full stop turned around, and it's like, no, maybe you don't. How much is your usership actually using this? Like,
Right.
maybe there's a better way to take this content and monetize it, or at a minimum make it engagement building content, depending on where your needs are.
Mhm.
With that doesn't require, you know you and your poor team to have to stay up
Yeah.
at night and be like, we have to turn 90 sessions. It's like, no, we're going to turn
Yes.
45 sessions, but we're going to have you, Tim, do this cool, reels based content, and like,
Yeah.
app based content, or whatever the case may be. I would definitely do that differently now if I were, in that position again, 100%.
Right. Use more content like shorts to drive the monetization of the long form content once
Yeah.
they've been hooked, and instead of just throwing it up there and hoping somebody looks at it, actually using the shorts to drive traffic to it.
Yeah, using that as your marketing tools as well, instead of having, I mean, for better or worse, it's not that people aren't reading, they are reading,
Mm.
but the hook is definitely much more video based and short video based now. Even doing stills of stuff on social media is just not, it's
Right.
not going to pull like it would have pulled 8, 10 years ago. It's just not.
Mhm.
So, getting that little sound bite that you can use from whomever you had in, especially when you're already paying for the video production and the audio production. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you embed that thing in your email marketing, you embed that on your social feed, all of a sudden
Mhm.
you can get a lot more click throughs to things that it wouldn't pull in the same way,
Mhm.
depending on how you positioned it.
Yeah. Fun. Um, hey, any so you had constraints in that it was a one large space.
Hmm.
Any venue speed bumps along the way? Like I mean,
I
there's
think
always
yeah, every single time, right? But I think the biggest venue speed bump for us was just that it was, I don't want to sound like, oh, people couldn't believe what we were doing because we were so out there on the cutting edge. It's like, okay, get over yourself. But I do think there was a degree to which we had to advocate with some of our vendors to say, hey, we really need you. Like, we understand what you're used to doing, but we're asking you in this case to help us by listening to what we're telling you needs to be the outcome. And if you deliver, sound was a great example. If you deliver the sound the way you would normally deliver 6 concurrents, this is going to be a disaster. We cannot do it that way. I understand that it seems like it's overkill, but there has to be more planning and there has to be more thoughtfulness about what the intended outcome is so that we don't have a mess on our hands. And, it took a little bit of time just to kind of get everybody's heads wrapped around, like, are we sure we need this much audio support? Are we sure we need this much production support? And it was like, no, we really, really do. And even though it's a small event, if it's not executed really thoughtfully, it's going to turn into a big disaster. Small event, big disaster,
Yeah. It's trending in the wrong direction there.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say that was probably the part that took the most just finessing to try to get everyone on the same page about why some of the stuff mattered, because it was more than what they were accustomed to doing or seeing us do, or that kind of stuff for sure.
Well, it sounds like it paid off, all that extra work.
Yeah. Like I said, I just remember at several points throughout the day feeling like I was watching something very special for me personally. My background is in adult education and adult learning. And I think with event planning in particular in large conferences, it is a tough position planners are often placed in, which is to just execute at scale and as efficiently and at the lowest cost possible. And in that particular instance, I was not under those constraints in quite the same way. And so I really got to do some truly what I would consider experience design rather than just event planning. And it was really an amazing experience.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Well, hey, I don't want to take up much more of your time, and I'm so thankful that we got to talk.
Absolutely.
This has been a blast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Maybe
get back together and do it again.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to help any way I can. And whenever everything is ready, if you want to share it with me.
Oh yeah.
I'm not like Joe Rogan level of reach by any means, but I've got maybe a few people that would go, oh, cool. Let me give this a listen. Yeah, exactly. So
definitely. Well, hey, thank you.
Thank you. And if you're ever going to be in Vegas, let me know, because you can definitely come into the restaurant and see this whole other world that I have become a part of now, which I never expected to become a part of. So yeah, you can come check that out too.
Okay. That sounds killer.
All right.